Okay, what's up everybody? Good evening and welcome to BS2PCG Deck Forger. For tonight, we're going to have another great deck tech, and this is in preparation for our upcoming Microverse Battles this coming August 22. So that is exactly a day after this perennial lockdown here in Manila, which we are suffering now for at least more than a week. Okay, and at the same time, we're going to also showcase a little bit later, okay, our upcoming second grand raffle for Card and Box Hobbies and Forge Hobby Place, and that is we're going to give out bigger prizes this time, and not just one but two high-tech gadgets that we're going to raffle off, okay, in the next couple of days. So try to stick around as we go over this episode of BS2TCG Deck Forger. So later on, we're going to give you a glimpse of what are the prizes, okay, in store for you for our upcoming Card and Box Hobbies and Forge Hobby Place Grand Raffle Promo 2. Okay, and for this episode, we're going to showcase, of course, Human Torch, and that is Human Torch and the Burning Blitz deck tech. And this is in preparation for the upcoming Microverse Battles, okay, for our BS2TCG tournament 2021-22 season. Okay, so what is Burning Blitz? Of course, it runs on the main character, and that is Human Torch or Johnny Storm. And as you can see here, he will try to pump it up and grow to a huge proportion as early as the first and second turn of the game in order to pummel his way and, okay, stun his opposing characters, okay, his opposing enemies. And at the same time, he will also try to drop in huge characters under his roster, okay, including, of course, the likes of Ganymede and, of course, surprisingly, Ardina. Okay, so Ardina is seldom used in any deck. So here you can see that, okay, she's of great use once you're able to circumvent that requirement of hers, which is to have a Silver Surfer in play, which is not possible, of course, because of Microverse Battles. Okay, so again, to give you a recap, Microverse Battles, you can only use level 1 and level 2, okay, single character cards. Okay, so you can only use those type of characters. You cannot use multiple characters like coming from the Sinister Six or the Outrider, or even, let's say, the Bart Brothers and the twins from the Photographic Universe expansion. So you cannot use those character cards. And at the same time, you can also use main characters, okay, that has level 3, level 4 or higher. Okay, so you cannot also use characters with those with no levels, like, of course, Lady Death or X23. So you cannot use those character cards. So only characters, those who are single and with level 1 and level 2 main characters. Okay, and at the same time, the maximum cost that you can only include in your deck for supporting characters and equipment, okay, is 5. So you cannot use supporting characters or equipment with 6 costs or higher. And finally, of course, what makes it a little bit unique from other formats is, of course, Microverse Battles. You can only, at any time, a player can only have a maximum of 5 resources on his resource row. Okay, so you can only have 5. So if he's able to put another resource, okay, let's say going to the 6, he must KO 1 of his other resources, so that the total number of resources at any time is only 5. Okay, so now let's proceed to our deck teching table and let's try to look at Burning Blitz by Human Torch. Hey Google, can you play Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana?
Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Sure, playing on Spotify.
Alright, welcome back everybody. And this is Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Okay, Okay, can you lower the volume? Lower. Hey Google. Hey Google. Hey Google. Can you lower it to minimum volume? Alright, okay, so I'm just toying around with this new Google Nest Hub, which we're going to go up for our raffle in our upcoming Card and Box Hobbies second grand raffle promo. Okay, so this is just one of the items that we're going to give away, okay, in our locally made online raffle. And this is via Wheel of Names. And okay, so later on we'll explain further on how this promo, this online raffle promo is going to be. Okay, so for today we're going to have the sample deck tech for our upcoming Multiverse Battles. And this is the Burning Blitz by none other than Johnny Storm himself, the Human Torch. Okay, so we're going to go back to our big deck demo box, and as you can see here, okay, so we're going to pick Burning Blitz, and we're going to give you the rundown on the components of our Burning Blitz deck there. So let's go over and set this aside. So before we go to the sample gameplay, first we'd like to discuss to you the actual components, what are the supporting characters, equipment, plot twists, and of course locations that are included in our Multiverse, a unique format to the Philippines. And actually, it is a format wherein you get to use only main characters that are single, meaning you cannot have those twin or those main characters in pair, or you can use those multiple main characters like from the Sinister Syndicate or even the Outrider. So you can only have main characters with level 1 and level 2, so you cannot use main characters with no level at all, like Death or let's say X-23, and you cannot also use main characters without with those with level 3 or higher. So you cannot use Deadpool, you cannot use Rogue, you cannot use Mystic. So all you can use is, of course, for our main characters that has only level 1 and level 2. At the same time, you can only use, okay, or you can only include in your deck supporting characters and equipment, okay, with maximum cost of 5 costs or lower. So it can be 5 drop, a 4 drop, all the way down to a 0 drop. Okay, and you can even use those with variables, but you cannot use 6 drop or higher characters, okay, or equipment. So in this case, there are no Dark Phoenix, there are no Gilgamesh, there are also no Serpent Crown or whatsoever. So you can only use characters 5 costs or lower. And finally, of course, during any player's turn, the maximum number of resources that can only be played, okay, in a particular side is only 5. Okay, so you can only have up to 5th drop characters, and you can only have recruit up to 5 drop characters. Okay, so now let's proceed to the actual deck itself. So Burning Blitz, of course, centers on one of the Fantastic Four main characters, and of course that is the Human Torch. And the Human Torch is, let's try to focus on this. At level 1 is a 2 attack, 4 defense character with 5 health, and he has both flight and range. So this is typical of the Fantastic Battle set characters. And he has, for his first superpower, he has Flame On. So it's Flame On! So during the main phase, you may pay any blue power symbol to put 3+1/+1 counters on the Human Torch. And as a level up power, he has Pyrogenesis. So to level up, he needs 8 XP. So when the Human Torch gains any number of +1/+1 counters, he gains that much XP. So the typical strategy for Human Torch is to be able to gain those +1/+1 counters. Okay, either by using superpower Flame On or by using other cards like supporting characters like Call, or let's say from solo, or effects from solo, and for you to be able to level up quickly and to be able to go to level 2. So when Human Torch reaches level 2, now he becomes a 6 attack, 6 defense character with 5 health, and he still has flight and range, and besides Flame On, now he gains his second superpower, which is Nova Burst. So Nova Burst is a main superpower, and you only have to pay 1 blue power symbol, and that is to put -1/-1 counters equal to the number of +1/+1 counters that Human Torch has, divided as you choose, okay, on any number of enemy supporting characters. So the downside of this, of course, is Human Torch cannot affect main characters, but then he can, of course, quickly obliterate any board side of the board, most especially when he's able to use Nova Burst, and he has been able to gain those many +1/+1 counters due to Flame On and other effects. Okay, now normally Human Torch is very aggressive, most especially in the Microverse Battles, because he gets to grow big earlier on in the game, and of course he can get to stun those level 1 main characters easily because he of course has grown big. So now let's look at the supporting characters that are included in the Burning Blitz, okay, deck. So first of all, surprisingly, we have a zero cost character, and that is, of course, Ardina. Okay, and Ardina is also from the Fantastic Team, and he is a zero cost character with 6 attack and 6 defense and 2 health, and with flight and range. Now she has a little bit of a setback, of course, because in order to recruit her, okay, she has clone of the Silver Surfer, or she is the clone of the Silver Surfer, and as an additional cost to recruit, okay, Ardina, you have to own a character on your side with the card titled Silver Surfer. Okay, now this is a little bit tricky on this game, on this particular deck, because of course Ardina, typically you cannot recruit her because of course Silver Surfer is 8 drop, and as I have stated before, okay, you cannot have 6 or higher cost characters in your deck. And since, of course, your main character is Human Torch and not Silver Surfer, so how can we drop Ardina into the game? So later on, we'll try to explain that, okay? So let's just put it on that for a meantime. And let's just say that Ardina is huge for a zero cost character. And since she has 6 attack and 6 defense with 2 health. Now, going to your first 1 cost set of characters. And of course, we have 4 sets of Solo. Okay, so Solo is from the Underworld team, and he is a 1 attack, 2 defense character with 1 health and range. And he is solitary, so Solo can team attack. And his main keyword power is Go Solo. So when a character on your side Solo attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And of course, Solo synergize very well with your Human Torch, because once you drop him on the first turn, now when you attack with Human Torch, of course, you get the +1/+1 counter, and at the same time get to level up Human Torch very quickly. So a very important inclusion in this deck. And at the same time, you also have another set of 1 cost character, and that is, of course, you have 4 copies of Alicia Masters. So Alicia Masters is also one of those important 1 cost supporting character from the Fantastic Team, and she is a 0 attack, 3 defense character with 1 health, and she is a neo-realistic sculptor. So other Fantastic Four characters on your side has base defense equal to their base attack, or vice versa, whichever is higher. So example, if you have, let's say, Ganymede in play, and she is a 5 attack, 1 defense character, once you put in Alicia Masters in play, then she now becomes a 5 attack, 5 defense character. So Alicia Master is here as a utility character to boost up your deck. So let's try to arrange that so that we can go back to that later. Then you also have 4 copies for your 2 cost character. Okay, of course, 4 copies of Iron Fist. And Iron Fist is from the Defender's team, and he is a 2 attack 4 defense character with 1 health. And he has dodge, so Iron Fist can't be range attack. And Iron Fist Punch, okay, his superpower is during any combat, you may pay any red power symbol, and when Iron Fist strikes a character this combat, stun that character. So normally we get to use Iron Fist because of course if an opponent gets to grow big, or let's say is able to drop a very huge character in play that normally most of your other characters cannot defeat, then at least Iron Fist can normally punch his way out, okay, of any situation. And speaking of counter, of course, we have 4 copies of Call. And Call is here, of course, because we need to put those +1/+1 counters as soon as possible to Human Torch. And Call is a 2-cost Weyland Yutani supporting character. And he is a 2 attack, she is a 2 attack, 2 defense character with 3 health and range. And normally you don't get to play her more often, but to pitch her from your hand because of her full of surprises. So while Call is in your hand, you can discard her to power up any character on your side. So you can do this anytime you could normally power up a character. So example, you can power up a character on the main phase or maybe in any combat situation. So Call can be used to be pitched in order to put a +1/+1 counter on Johnny Storm or Human Torch, and at the same time help him gain an XP. Okay, then at the same time we also have 4 copies of Ganymede, and Ganymede is a 3-cost fantastic team supporting character with 5 attack and 1 defense and 2 health. And she has flight and range, and her superpower is Spinster Energy Staff. So during any combat, you may pay any red power symbol, and Ganymede strikes before each enemy character this combat. So she strikes before each enemy character, so this is striking even before characters with ferocious. So very powerful character. And once you have, of course, Alicia Masters out in play, then she gets to go big and she becomes a 5 attack, 5 defense character because of Alicia's neo-realistic sculpture. Okay, so let's put Ganymede here. And as an additional 3 costs, we also have 2 copies of Jessica Jones. And Jessica Jones is here because to be able for you to stop those yellow-based superpowers being used by your opponent. And she's a 4 attack, 3 defense character with 3 health and flight. And she has stop, so when Jessica Jones gets stunned, you may recover her and she still gets a wound. And of course, she has also psionic protection, so enemy players can't use yellow-based superpowers while Jessica Jones is face out. So going to your 4th drops of characters. First, we have 4 copies of Human Torch. And Human Torch is actually here because to power up your main character. So if I will give me time to explain, of course, Human Torch is a 4-cost, 7 attack, 5 defense character with 1 health and with flight and range, and he has the same superpower as the main character, and he has Flame On. So during any main phase, you may pay any blue bar symbol to put 3 +1/+1 counters on the Human Torch. But normally we don't really get to use Human Torch to be played here because of course you cannot play any supporting character that is the same as your main character. So we just use Human Torch here to pitch, okay, to pitch him to put a +1/+1 counter or to power up your main. And your main 4 drop, of course, is 4 copies of Lyja. And Lyja is a 5 attack, 3 defense character with 2 health. And she has flight and range. And she is a Skrull Spy, so at the start of your build phase, while Lyja is in your hand, you may transform an Alicia Master supporting character on your side into Lyja. So the good thing about Lyja here is she's a very strategic card in this deck. Because once you have, let's say, Alicia Masters out in play, instead of just recruiting her, you can actually transform Alicia Masters into Lyja for free. And at the same time, still have an extra recruit point. Okay, you can you can play Alicia Masters, another Alicia Masters from your hand, so that will increase Lyja to a 5 attack, 5 defense character. So this can easily increase your number of characters on your side of the board suddenly, okay, in order to surprise your enemy. And another surprise for this deck, of course, is Lockjaw. So the cute bulldog, okay, from Inhuman's team, is a 4 attack, 6 defense character with 1 health, and he's a creature, so you can put equipment on him, and at the same time you can have other characters go along for the ride. So when Lockjaw appears, you may put any number of characters with the total cost of 3 or less from your hand onto your side. So the technique here is to have a Lockjaw in your hand, and at the same time, if you can have, let's say, an Iron Fist and a solo, and of course Ardina. So once you're able to play on the 4th turn Lockjaw, then you can drop in a 2 cost plus a 1 cost plus a 0 cost character, all for free because of his along for the ride. So this is actually where the real fun begins, because once you're able to drop in all those characters, then your opponent will be surprised that you suddenly fill up the board with all those huge characters like Ardina, Lockjaw, and of course still have room, okay, to fill it some more. Okay, that is, okay, really the main strategy of this deck is to overwhelm your opponent with all those characters. Okay, so again, the primary strategy of your deck is to be able to grow Human Torch to a huge proportion with his Flame On, and of course with Solo and with Call, and at the same time level him up quickly, and at the same time be able to use Lockjaw in order, okay, to drop in those 2 cost, 1 cost, and 0 cost characters in play. And at the same time, if you're able to drop in the Alicia Masters, you can transform her into Lyja to again come up with another big character at the 4 cost range. Okay? And finally, okay, your biggest character, okay, is She-Thing. And She-Thing is a 5 cost character with 8 attack and 6 defense and 3 health. And of course, you just have to be aware that She-Thing is very vulnerable when you are up against a Doctor Doom deck. In this case, you can of course trade in She-Thing with Invisible Woman, because Invisible Woman at 5 cost is a 4 attack, 10 defense character, which can grow to a 10-10 once Alicia Masters is in play. And at the same time, I preferred She-Thing because she can grow big. So it's clobbering She time. Okay, during any combat, you may pay any green power symbol, and She-Thing gets a plus 10 attack, plus 0 defense, and can't withstand this combat. So I just put it She-Thing here because of course she's a very huge attack on the long run, and at the same time she has 3 health. So the more that she's difficult to get rid of. Okay, so those are all the main characters for our main supporting characters for our Human Torch Burning Blitz. Now let's try to discuss the plot twist of the deck. Okay, so we have 2 sets of plot twists for this deck, and of course, what is a fantastic deck without Fantastic Four? And this particular plot twist, okay, you can only play it if you have the core 4. So play this only if Human Torch, Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, or the Thing is face up on your side. And at the same time, okay, you can have also, during any combat, a character on your side in the combat gets any combination of attack and defense with a total of 4 this combat. So it can be, let's say, a plus 4 attack plus 0 defense. It can also be a plus 0 attack plus 4 defense. It can also be a plus 2 attack plus 2 defense, or a plus 1 attack and plus 3 defense. Or it can be a plus 3 attack plus 1 defense. So the combination is a lot. So it's up to you on how you will use the Fantastic Four. And at the same time, you also have 4 copies, of course, of Shock to the System. And one of the very versatile neutral plot twists in the game, and Shock to the System Okay, during any combat, choose an attacker to get a -3, -0 defense this combat. So very useful in this deck to defend your Human Torch. So since we have already discussed the plot twist, now let's go to the final set of cards in your deck. And of course, we have your locations. And for our location, of course, we have 4 copies of Laboratory because we need Laboratory in order to be used for Human Torch, Flame On, and Novaverse. Okay, so mostly this is, of course, reserved for your main character. And you also have 4 copies of Training Ground. And Training Ground has a lot of use here, of course, because you can use it on Iron Fist Punch. You can also use this for Ganymede Spinster Staff. And of course, it has a lot, this particular power symbol, okay, it can be a game breaker for both of your Iron Fist and Ganymede. And finally, of course, we have Baxter Building, the wild location for the Fantastic Team. And of course, we have the Baxter Building in order for us to be able to use it on Flame On, Novaverse of Human Torch. You can also use this for She-Thing's It's Clobbering She-Time. Okay, and also Ganymede's Spinster Cosmic Cow. Okay, so those are the components of our Burning Blitz, okay, Microverse deck. And okay, in the next section of our video, we're going to show you, okay, a sample gameplay on how to use, okay, the Burning Blitz in a Microverse Battles deck. So okay, stay a while, and we will show you, okay, an actual gameplay of how to be able to go aggressive with Human Torch Burning Blitz. Okay, so now we are going to our sample gameplay, and while we are shuffling this, we'll try to give you some good music. Okay, so hey Google, maximum volume please. Okay, so now we have shuffled it twice, and now we're going to go and show you the sample gameplay for our Burning Blitz deck. Okay, so now we're going to give you a good cut on this. So let's say we're going to roll a 6-sided dice, and we're going to, okay, find out how we're going to cut this. Okay, so 3, 1, 2. Okay, we will try to go first, but let's try to make it fair. So that we're going to roll the dice, and for this particular demo, I'm going to go odd. So odd, I go first. Okay, so I go first. Now let's try to get, okay, 7 cards as a starting lineup. So we have 7. So let's see if we're going to get a good draw. So now we have Call, we have Fantastic Four, we have Training Ground, we have Call, we have Ganymede, we have another Human Torch, and we have Jessica Jones. But what is important here is for you to be able to mulligan either a Baxter Building, or let's say you're going to mulligan for a Laboratory. That way you can gain those 3+1+1 counters on the Human Torch immediately, and at the same time you are able to gain 3 XP on him. If you are able to draw, let's say, a Call or another Human Torch supporting character card, then the more the better. Okay, so now let's try to focus on that so that we can give you a much better view of how we're going to use the Human Torch. Okay, so we're going to cut it again. Then let's say I'm going to choose 2, 1, 3 this time. Okay. Now we're going to position Human Torch on the back row, since it has both flight and range. And we're going to draw another 7 cards, and this time this is our last set of mulligan. Okay. So we have a solo, we have an Alicia Master, we have a Ganymede, we have a Call, and we have another Human Torch, and we have a Lockjaw. Okay, so very good, very good. Okay, this is a very good draw. So first, we're going to try to drop in Ganymede, and we're going to play solo. So if your opponent is in the front row and of course they do not have any range, then all you can do is of course play solo on the back row and attack with him in order to get that +1 counter. And at the same time, you can also attack with Human Torch in order to get that +1 counter and that 1 additional XP. Since you already have a Call and a Human Torch in hand, what you can do is now pitch in Call to get another +1 counter and another XP. And at the same time, if your opponent passes, pitch in a Human Torch to get a +3 attack, +3 defense on your Human Torch and 3 additional XP. Okay, so now that's the good part of this is of course you can see. Okay, let's try to remove that. Okay, so what you can see is that he has grown big to a 5 attacks, 7 defense character as early as the first turn. And you can see now that your opponent will go to his first turn, and at the same time you will try to play a character. Okay, so if it has grown big, normally your Human Torch can be stunned as early as the first turn. So now it's your turn, so you are able to draw in Aurora, and wow, okay, now that is good. Now you have a laboratory in your hand. Okay, so now you go to your second turn, and you now play Alicia Masters. And as you can see, since Alicia Master has neo-realistic sculpture, your Human Torch now becomes a 4 attack, 4 defense character, so that makes him into a 7 attack, 7 defense character. And so now you can attack with your Human Torch, or let's say attack first with solo, so that can put him or give him a +1 counter in order to beef him up a little. And at the same time, you can now attack with your Human Torch in order to give him a +1 counter. And at the same time, play your laboratory during the combat phase as your first action, and now he becomes huge with an additional 3 attack, okay, 3 defense counter. So now he becomes a 7-10, that is already, now he becomes an 11 attack, 11 defense character, and at the same time he gains 7, okay, 7 XP. So 1 more XP to go, and normally that will be on the third turn, wherein now he becomes level 2. Okay, so now your opponent will try to play a character, but since you have a flight wall, a very huge flight wall with an 11 attack, 11 defense in your front, it will be very difficult for your opponent to try to stop this particular, okay, character. Okay, so now you go to your third turn, you draw, now you draw 2 more cards, and now you have a Human Torch again, and you have a Lockjaw. Okay, so a while ago we were able to drop in our Ardina, so now on your third turn you play, let's say, Lockjaw, and this time attack again with a solo, and at the same time attack with Human Torch, and of course that will now give him an additional +1 counter and transform him to level 2. So now he has a total of 8 +1 counters with a 6 attack, 6 defense, base 6 attack, 6 defense, and now he becomes a huge 14 attack, 14 defense character. So very huge, okay? Only on the third turn. So very hard to stop in any fight. Okay, now your opponent will try to, of course, drop in any character. Hopefully he has anything to daze him, but if not, then okay, you now go to your fourth turn, and you have a red, and you have another red. So now you can play your Training Ground, okay, as your fourth drop, And now this is where the fun part begins. Remember, you have lockjaw. So when you play lockjaw in the front row or in any row whatsoever, now you're able to put down any number of characters, the total cost of 3 or less. So since you have Ardina in play, you are not recruiting her because you're just putting her into play. So now out she goes, a 6 attack, 6 defense character with 2 health and flight and range. And let's say if your solo was stunned a while ago for whatever reason, let's say with stealth, still you can drop in another solo, and this is now where the particular onslaught continues. Okay, so now you can attack with your lockjaw to put a +1/+1 counter on him, and at the same time attack with Ardina to put up another +1/+1 counter on her, and solo again for that +1/+1 counter, and of course lockjaw, Human Torch, and now he becomes a 15 attack, 15 defense character. So still, you can still pump him up if you want to transform him into a 16 attack, 16 defense character, about the size of Gilgamesh. And man, this Human Torch is now huge. Okay, so let's try to continue on the 5th turn, just to show you how the Microverse Battles work. So now you have a She-Thing and you have a solo again. And again, since She-Thing is a fantastic 4, once you're able to drop her, her 8 attack, 6 defense character will become even, and now she becomes an 8 attack, 8 defense character. Okay, with 3 health. And still, you pound on your opponent, you attack with Ardina, put a +1/+1 counter on her, and she becomes an 8/8. Attack with your Human Torch, and now he becomes a 17 attack, 17 defense character. Still, if there's still surviving characters out in play, then you attack with She-Thing, and she becomes a 9 attack, 9 defense character. Okay, and this is how Burning Blitz actually works. Okay, so if you are able to go to the next turn, of course, you cannot put any more locations here, because once you are able to put another location here, you have to, let's say, remove one location there. And that's how Microverse Battle works. You can only recruit characters or play characters up to a maximum of 5 costs, because that's the only maximum cost that can be included in your deck. So as you can see here, Human Torch has really grown big, and in a very short span of time, you're able to pound on your opponent with those huge characters coming from lockjaw, coming from pumping it up with Alicia Masters, and of course solo. So I hope you like our sample gameplay today, and of course overall our sample deck tech. And this is Burning Blitz. And of course, before we go, guys, I would like to announce that locally here in the Philippines, we're going Card and Box Hobbies, of course, our main company, the main company of BS2 PCG Deck Forger, is coming out with another Grand Raffle promo. And besides the Google Nest Hub that you have seen, again, another good example, as you can see here, is after this is just going to be second place, or the second prize. And of course, Nest Hub is a very, we have one of these at home, so that if you want to play music, or let's say you want to Google something, all you have to say is, "Hello Google." Hello Google. Okay, so this is a very good gadget to have at home, and actually we are supplying it here in the Philippines. And as you can see a while ago, that you can use it for your home control, for your home media, any games that you like, communication. All you can do is just say, "Hello Google." Hopefully it works already. I don't know what happened. Okay, but besides that, of course, one of the grand prize that we're going to give out for this next grand raffle, of course, is one of my favorite, an iPad Air. Okay, so it's an iPad Air Gold, okay, that we're going to give out as the grand prize for our Card and Box Hobbies Grand Raffle promo. So it's brand new. Okay, and as you can see here, it's complete with all those gadgets and everything. Okay, and it also has its own cord in itself and its own manual. And of course, this is the grand prize for our upcoming Card and Box Hobbies Grand Raffle. So, if you've noticed, last month, if you remember last month, we were able to give away PlayStation 4 complete with free games and of course that highly coveted Spider-Man Game of the Year cartridge. Okay, so but this time, our next raffle, okay, we're going to have an iPad for our grand prize, an iPad Gold. So let's take a look at it again. And of course, for our second prize, we also have a Google Nest Hub. So we have a lot of gadgets here that we're giving away at Card and Box Hobbies. So if you are here in the Philippines, you can actually, okay, you have a chance to join in our raffle. It's only for as low as 300 pesos per slot, and of course, you'll get a chance to win one of these prizes. And of course, we're also going to give away other stash from Forge Hobby Place, like card sleeves, and also let's say deck BS2 PCG decks from BS2 PCG Philippines store. So before we go, of course, I'd like to thank all our friends from the BS2 PCG Collective and also from the Buildface, okay, and Buildface Philippines, okay, Season 2. We also like to thank our official venue. Okay, I'm going to just run them down today because we're taking too long on our runtime. Okay, I'd like to thank Forge Hobby Place at Las Piñas City, Philippines, and we also like to thank PM Apartments in Quezon City, and of course our newest venue, and that is Forge Hobby Place North Point in Araneta Square, Caloocan City. And of course, I'd like to thank our corporate sponsors. I'd like to thank Please For Them, Virtual Mall Philippines, and of course, EcoSphere, okay, our official water purifier system. So before we go, of course, we'd like to thank everybody who took the time to watch this episode of BS2 PCG Deck Forger. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our video for more BS2 PCG deck techs, okay, in the future. So until next time, folks, this is Human Torch, and flame on!
もしもし